Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's Cupid here with yet another YouTube video. This time we've got the Cupid Draft League Week 5 recap. Now you're probably wondering, dang Cupid, you've been gone for a while, what happened? Where's the recap? Why did it take you so long to make the Week 5 recap? Well, in simple terms, we did not actually have all of the matches for this week of the Week 5 completed until the 2nd of October, which is essentially an entire week after week 5 should have ended. So we are currently behind. We are starting week 6 now. Technically week 6 should be concluded already, but instead here we are without the conclusion of week whatever currently we are on week 6. So, now that we've actually had 5 solid weeks completed, I went through and I updated the standings. So, here's our current after 5 weeks playoff picture. Here's how we're looking. So we have Spirit first place, undefeated 5-0 after 5 matches, and then we have the 2 4-1s between Ant and Plasma. We have a couple of 3 and 2s, actually of quite a few 3 and 2s. And then we are getting lower and lower in overall win count after that. So, yeah, our current playoff picture looks like this. If you are in the green, obviously you are very, very safe as far as making the playoffs are concerned. If you are in the yellow, you're in slightly more danger. So, yeah, that's very good stuff. Now, before we continue, I would like to preface this in a very, very clear tone for all of you. Please do not ask me when the recap will happen if all of the matches are not done for that week. Okay? I do not want to skip matches, and if I do, it's more out of necessity than anything. That being said, I would like to have everything clearly, clear cut before we do anything along the lines of a recap. So, what are we going to do now? Well, in simple terms, we have a bunch of free agent moves that I am not going to go over because, let's be honest, that's not exactly the high-octane, exciting content that you guys are probably here looking for. However, we do have all of the games from this week. Now, in subsequent recaps from here on out, I am highly considering not covering every single game, because these recaps do take quite a long time for me as well as for you guys. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the recap videos are like an hour long, and most people don't have that kind of attention span. In fact, if you're watching this video and it's your first time watching a recap, the odds that you've already clicked off of this video and are currently hearing my voice are above 90%. Due to this, I do think I want to start making the recaps shorter and have significantly more digestible content. Without further ado, however, let's get straight into the matches. So, our first match of week 5 was Rudes versus Shadow King. Now, Rudes is a very avid go-getter. He will get in there and he will play the games basically immediately, so we will basically always have Rudes first, or at least close to first, when his matches are played. And we take those. That's always nice. So Shadow King leads with the stereotypical Politoed into switch into a different rain Pokemon. And now we are going to spam Surf with this Seismitoad and then get killed by probably Specs Draco Meteor. Now Azumarill is going to come in, and based on the fact that the thing comes out immediately, yeah, that probably was a Specs Draco Meteor. And we have a Belly Drum from the Azumarill, and we should be using Aqua Jet, and that absolutely one-shots the Mega Mawile, especially in the rain. Toxapex is going to use Baneful here. We probably should have predicted that, but you know what? It is what it is. I guess we're going to try and stall out the rain. We're going to click Play Rough, get a crit, and it doesn't even kill because of the power of resisting attacks, thanks to Toxapex's ability to resist attacks. Now we are going to go presumably for Play Rough again, which is the only move that has a chance to not kill this thing. If only we had used Waterfall instead of Play Rough, because Waterfall does more damage to Toxapex in the rain than Play Rough does. But we are still clicking Play Rough, and this is why we don't want to click Play Rough, because it has a chance to miss. Now we lose Azumarill, and we lose our Rain Setter due to Stealth Rocks, and now Bulu comes back in, and let's be honest, this is probably over, based on the fact that there's a Zapdos in the back, and none of these Pokemon particularly like, you know, flying plus electric type coverage. So we have the Mega Evolution from Mega Gardevoir. It survives. Thunderbolt does 48. And honestly, that actually is pretty good for us. Now we switch out of Zapdos, despite the fact that we outsped it the first time. No, we did not outspeed it. Okay, good to know, good to know. It's okay. We have a whole Garg in the back to use Salt Cure and win the game because of the ability of Salt Cure. But instead, we're going to opt for a Body Press, which is ×4 resisted. Luckily for us, it does do just enough for Salt Cure to finish it off, as opposed to us dying. And now we come in with the Barraskewda, and we use Night Slash, when, in reality, if you had gone for, like, a Water-type attack, because this thing's not immune to Water, Water-type attack kills, the Zapdos and the Garg, and then all you need from that point is, like, assuming you're banded, like, if your Waterfall Flinch or Waterfall Crit kills the Toxapex. So this was still a winnable battle for Shadow King, but Shadow King instead decided to opt for a move that did neutral damage on Garg, and Garg survived and got off Salt Cure for your troubles, resulting in a Game 1 loss. Now we have Rude's Game 2 with the Serperior. I don't know about you guys, but I see 0 Pokemon on Shadow King's team that beat Serperior, especially in a one-on-one situation. So we have the same exact lead, and for whatever reason, Shadow King does not click the Water move in the Rain, because, you know, why would you click a move that is boosted by 50%? Especially when it is also boosted by 50% again, due to being same type attack boost. Who knows? Not me. Definitely not me. It's still super effective on the ground-type Pokemon, by the way. But it's okay, it's fine. We're gonna go into Seismitoad, try and 1v1 the Zapdos with the Seismitoad, not succeed because we clicked, again, not a Water move. And now we're gonna put in the Barraskewda against the Toxapex. This Toxapex is probably gonna goose Toxic, it did. Now we're gonna have Baneful Bunker as we go for Night Slash, which is not going to do nearly enough damage. Yeah, Night Slash doing 25%, which is not even close to gonna be enough. And we're gonna just lose our Barraskewda. And we decided that switching is for people who are not us, because you know, that level of play is too high. So we are going to instead sacrifice our whole Barraskewda, and now we're going to go into Gardevoir and click an electric type attack, despite the fact that Psychic is super effective against Toxapex. Now we are going to sacrifice our whole Politoed without the rain going up because of Stealth Rocks. Once again, we've learned nothing. Now we are going to Belly Drum directly in front of the Pokemon that is going to click Salt Cure and deal 25% of our HP, and if this thing has Protect, we die. Luckily for us, it didn't, and we just go for Liquidation, but we trade the entire Azumarill for the entire Salt Cure Pokemon, and at this point, we need to defeat this thing in a one-on-one. Luckily for Rudes, we go for Glare, we get the Insta-Para, and as a result, we do end up beating the Gardevoir one-on-one. Except the Gardevoir misses, or dodges, a Leaf Storm, and now Dragapult has to win this battle, and it does so with Flamethrower because it's going to be faster than Tapu Bulu, and unless this is AV Bulu, I believe that Specs Flamethrower kills this. But Bulu survives with 1 and gets burned, but we went for Horn Leech, and now we are not going to win the battle, even with the recovery. Since we are still slower, we're going to die to another Flamethrower. Why would we click a Fairy-type attack on the Pokemon that is weak to Fairy? So that concludes the match of Rudes versus Shadow King. I don't really want to go into any more detail. I think I've already covered all of the misplays there well enough. Next up, we have Kitsune versus Timba, a couple of mainstays in the Cupid League at this point. Kitsune took over for Otto, who ended up dropping, if you guys remember that. So we have turn 1, trade rocks. Gliscor's going to get Toxic Poisoned. Timba's going to stay on a balloon. And we're going to immediately go into Feeny after rocks go up on both sides to click Defog, presumably, but instead we opt for Moonblast. That does 20% to Goodra, which tells me immediately that that Goodra is Assault Vest AF. Corviknight's going to come in now, and we are going to get off probably another Moonblast worth of chip, but no, we are instead going to Defog off of our own rocks, giving Kitsune the ability to U-turn, as well as, for whatever reason, Timba decided to go into Heatran in front of Corviknight, which I assumed was going to be clicking U-turn. Yeah, there's the U-turn, and Corviknight's just going to get out of there. So we sacrifice our whole balloon, and then we go into Heatran, and Beedrill comes in on U-turn and clicks Drill Run, killing the Heatran immediately. Next, Weavile is going to come in, realize that it's slower, and then we are going to switch into Tapu Fini, as the Beedrill just wants to get out of there. In comes Rotom. Rotom's going to Volt Switch on the Tapu Fini. Get in Goodra. Because Goodra is Assault Vest, Goodra takes literally 5% from that Surf. And in comes Tangrowth to presumably click Knockoff on Thunderbolt. Now we have an Acid Spray usage, which is very, very interesting. And we have Gooey Goodra to reduce our speed. And then Draco Meteor doesn't kill even after the special defense drop, meaning that this is definitely still an Assault Vest Tangrowth, and Timba really should get out of there. Now we go into the Tapu Fini. Obviously, we're immune to a Draco Meteor with Tapu Fini, which is very nice stuff. And then for some reason, we switch into Nidoqueen. I don't know why Nidoqueen there, but it works out as Kitsune goes for rocks, thinking that the Nidoqueen is going to be scared out. And Timba double over-predicts, I suppose. And that ends up outplaying the Gliscor as you pick up the kill with Ice Beam. Rocks go back up, however, and you are going to just stay in with your Tangrowth and use Giga Drain a couple of times as Kitsune is clicking Draco Meteor until Goodra dies. Goodra is still clicking Draco Meteor to this day. Acid Spray on the Nidoqueen switch, because I guess we've decided now that we don't want to sacrifice our Nidoqueen. Rotom's going to come in now. Timba has no answers to this Pokemon. And Overheat usage is going to kill this. We should immediately go into Medicham, which is the only Pokemon that can actually defeat this. But instead, we go into Tapu Fini, allowing Kitsune to preserve the Rotom for later. Which is fine, I suppose, but the Beedrill comes in, is going to pick up the kill with Poison Jab, and now we go into Medicham. And the difference here is that now your Tapu Fini is not alive anymore. So you have one less sack into the Beedrill, but it's okay. We predict the switch, I suppose, and we go for Zen Headbutt, and we get off a huge damage Bullet Punch on the Beedrill, and unless this is like Banded Weavile or something, this Ice Shard doesn't kill. It looks like it does. Very good. Okay, so Rotom's gonna come in now. We should have immediately gone into... Hold up. Timba. Buddy. Timba. Why would you use Knockoff on a Pokemon that has a fire move that halves its special attack, or an electric move that your Nidoqueen is immune to? Why would you knock after Trick? You saw Trick? Why would you use Knock? Did you think you killed with choice specs? Did you think you killed? This is the only way you lose this game. It doesn't matter, though. We do pick up the kill. And Timba is able to get the win over Kitsune. Very, very good stuff. Let's see about the next game. Let's see what happens in the next game. Alright, so Kitsune this time leads the Iron Valiant. Hopefully this time it doesn't die immediately. We have a Psycho Cut turn 1 into a Sludge Wave to sacrifice the Iron Valiant, meaning that thing that I was hoping would happen, happened immediately. Heatran's gonna come in on Earthquake from the Gliscor being immune to, Earthquake from Gliscor due to the fact that it is on an air balloon. We are going to get Magma Stormed, and then we're going to Poison Heal out, and then we are going to start spamming Roost until Magma Storm misses. And that's going to allow us to survive the onslaught of this Heatran. But we are properly trapped here, due to the fact that, guess what? Magma Storm. So we are going to now attempt to PP stall out all of the Magma Storms, as the Heatran now uses Earth Power on our Roost because we lose our Flying type. And yeah, Kitsune's game plan here is outstall the Magma Storm turns, and we get in our Gudra for good measure. Gudra is now going to get off a free, presumably, knockoff or something. I don't think Gudra gets knockoff, actually. A free attack into the Tangrowth. Tangrowth uses knockoff on Beedrill, which does not kill, but now Beedrill's going to have to U-turn out because Tangrowth would kill it anyway. There is a critical hit Hidden Power that looks like Hidden Power Ice based on the fact that it was neutral damage on Corviknight. I don't know why you would opt for HP Ice, but you know what? It is what it is. Beedrill's back in. We are probably going to just Drill Run. Yeah. But we do have to U-turn or knock off here. So we use knock off. We lose our Beedrill at this point. Gliscor is going to be able to come in and get off a free Earthquake. Yeah, guess what? Heatran's not living those. In comes Weavile to use Ice Shard, which kills an entire family of these. But luckily for us this time, we have a Corviknight that's still alive. Triple Axle is used. And Rocky Helmet into Triple Axle, ouch, my bones, and Corviknight survives, and Weavile loses half of its health, and then another Triple Axle, dropping the Weavile all the way down to 10%. At this point, this thing is going to go absolutely ham in the stew with the Electric-type attacks, aside from the Nidoqueen, which is absolutely living in constant fear of Gliscor. Gliscor being faster and killing with Earthquake is a nightmare / menace, and Timba basically needs to not sacrifice the Nidoqueen to the Gudra to lose this game. That's what needs to happen here. Timba needs to not sacrifice the Nidoqueen to the Gudra to win this game. So Timba sacrificed the Nidoqueen to the Gudra to lose the game. Because, you know, I guess Timba is just feeling like a nice guy and decided that, you know what, it's fine, I have a whole Tangrowth in the back, and surely all of my Pokemon, you know, defeat the combination of Gudra and Rotom, right? Well, here comes the Mega Medicham. Mega Medicham's going to use Bullet Punch, get a crit, meaning that this Gudra is now in possible 2-hit KO range, but we do not get the 2-hit KO. And Gudra is going to get off a last Draco Meteor for the troubles. Now, Kitsune just needs to lock into an electric move and not die to Weavile's Ice Shard, and you should be okay. So we lock into an electric move. Bullet Punch does non-existent damage. Weavile doesn't kill us with Ice Shard. And I guess Timba thought we were Scarf, and he was scared of Scarf. Because if that had been knockoff, it probably kills this Rotom. And we don't even know if the Rotom is Scarfed or not. We just don't. We never find out. But Timba, fearing Scarf, clicks Ice Shard. That does non-existent damage to the Rotom. And Kitsune picks up the win in Game 2. Now we've got Game 3. So let's see how this goes. This time Timba leads the Weavile into Beedrill. This is really bad for Timba, as Beedrill after Mega Evolving is faster than Weavile. And now Kitsune gets free momentum with a U-turn, and in comes the Rotom Heat with the Electric-type attacks. We are presumably going to click Volt Switch. Timba makes the smart play, goes into Nidoqueen there. Now we are going to go straight into the Gudra, and Gudra is going to, you know, cause problems by using Acid Spray, having the special defense of the Pokemon that comes in. Now we're going to Draco, do 51%. That's not actually that much. We're going to lose our Assault Vest, and then Gooey will trigger, reducing the speed of the Tangrowth. And we are probably going to click Acid Spray again. No, we opt for Earthquake, presumably predicting Nidoqueen to come back. That seems okay, I guess, yeah. Next up, we have Beedrill versus Heatran. Beedrill is walled by Heatran, so we do need to U-turn out. Luckily for us, this pops the balloon, and we can get in Gliscor pretty freely. Gliscor is going to get trapped by Magma Storm, which is, you know, the nature of Heatran. But luckily for us, we can now Roost, and we are faster, so we can just kill this thing with Earthquake at any given point in time. But Kitsune could also opt for Roost every single turn until the Heatran either misses a Magma Storm or a switch is used, which allows us to switch out our Gliscor. We go into Corviknight immediately as knockoff is used, and we get rid of the Rocky Helmet, but now Corviknight defeats this Weavile pretty easily. In comes Tangrowth on Body Press. This is a Regenerator, presumably Assault Vest Tangrowth, based on what we have seen. Corviknight's going to roost up to full, and Zen Headbutt does non-existent damage to Corviknight. Corviknight's going to U-turn out, bring in the Beedrill. Beedrill being faster than this. I am not sure if it survived Bullet Punch there, but it does have Drill Run. But it does seem that this is physically defensive Heatran, based on the fact that it just ate that entire Drill Run, and then killed the Beedrill, which is very good for Timba. But then we just stay in and we sack our Heatran to it, which is very unfortunate. Now Weavile is going to Triple Axle, get its speed reduced all the way to non-existent on the Goodra, and this brings in the Iron Valiant. Kitsune, you know, with a favorable position here, clicks Swords Dance, and uh-oh, we're gonna Swords Dance again. But the Tangrowth is packing Poison Jab. We don't get the poison. Close combat kills after 2 SDs. We have a speed booster for speed. Bullet Punch kills us back. Okay. Okay. This is still looking pretty winnable for both sides, I'm not gonna lie. Gliscor is gonna use Toxic, miss the Feeny. It didn't matter. Misty Terrain was up anyway. Now we opt to go for our Stealth Rocks here. Feeny is just clicking Surf, as it is super effective against most of Kitsune's Pokemon that are left. And it is just doing so much damage. If our goal is to stall out the Misty Terrain, we do have a chance to do so, provided Timba never gets a crit. And it looks like Kitsune might be opting to try and do that, but now we finally have a Taunt being used. And since Taunt is used, we are going to get out of there. Corviknight's going to come in, take a Surf pretty easily, and this, for some reason, entices Timba to go back into the Medicham. Now, this isn't good for Timba, because Corviknight is a bulky motherfucker, and it survives easily, and after close combat reduces us, we take a bunch of chip for, you know, for the U-turn. Rotom's going to get off an Overheat, and then the Corviknight's going to come back in freely, presumably on... well, it doesn't look like the Nidoqueen has an attack for Corviknight. Now Timba is going to opt to defog off the Stealth Rocks. And this is pretty much the ideal situation for Kitsune, is being in on this versus the Feeny. We're going to opt for Gliscor here to click, I'm guessing, Toxic. And we have a prediction on the switch to Nidoqueen, as Timba predicts Toxic, and we pick up the KO with Earthquake. And at this point, the Rotom can run free with the Electric-type attacks. So you have to be very, very careful if you're Timba here. You can essentially never let anything bad happen to this Feeny. This Feeny needs to be healthy to have a chance against the Rotom, because you've already taken so much chip with this. Weavile is going to be at basically half after coming in on the rocks. And, well, we kill the Corviknight, and we let in the Rotom, and we opt for Bullet Punch again, and, well, the Rotom's faster than Feeny, and it survives. But that Thunderbolt will kill, and, so, interesting situation here. Timba has confidence that Kitsune is Scarf. Banded Ice Shard does not do enough to kill unless it crits. If Kitsune is not Scarf, Triple Axle wins the game. It is Scarf, and we survive the Thunderbolt. Triple Axle picks up the kill, and Timba Triple Axles once and misses the second hit of Triple Axle and loses the game for it. And Kitsune gets away with why I opt for accurate moves over hard-hitting moves. Triple Axle Dodge wins Kitsune the game. Next, we have Mr. Titan T versus Waffles and Jelly. Alright, here we have, we have Iron Treads in against the Mega Sceptile. Sceptile just goes immediately for Energy Ball. No need to think, only click attack. In comes Plump the Chansey. And that takes essentially non-existent damage to Focus Blast. Because at any point you can just dodge a Focus Blast and soft-boiled up all of your HP. We instead are a Wish user, and we go into Tapu Lele as this Terrakion uses Sacred Sword, healing us to full with Wish, and this is a free attack, and instead of just going for a free attack, Mr. Titan T decides, I'm going to click Future Sight instead, and now we have an electric type move being clicked on a Pokemon that is immune to electric. Shouts out to Juvenile because Lightning Rod says, give me your special attack, goodbye Rotom, and now we just die to Future Sight. Garchomp's gonna come in, and in comes Charizard, who is undefeated, and for whatever reason Mr. Titan T opts to not Mega Evolve when clicking this Charizard, and dies to Rock Slide. Now Tapu Lele is gonna come back in and be faster than Garchomp, which tells me that either A, that Garchomp was adamant, or B, this Tapu Lele is scarfed, and we should not go into Terrakion as a response. However, we go into Terrakion as a response and lose our Terrakion as well for free. In comes the Chansey to eternally wall this Ditto. Talonflame's going to come in and take half of its HP from Stealth Rocks. Now we are going to wish and try and Wish Pass into Tapu Lele, which dies immediately to Dual Wing Beat. You guys see the word wish and you just think you can throw in whatever Pokemon you want willy-nilly. That is not how it works, even slightly. So you guys need to stop doing that. Anyway, Galvantula's going to come in against Trevor One Tread. It has hidden power, I think, Fire. And yeah, guess what wins this battle? Its name is Chansey. It's big, it's scary, and it is pink. Okay, so you want to know what's useless about Ditto against Chansey? The fact that Ditto has significantly less HP than Chansey does. Meaning that, the fact that your Ditto is, in fact, reduced HP means you lose literally the one thing that makes Chansey good, which is the massive health pool. And you can just get Seismic Tossed for all of your life savings, essentially. So yeah, after copying Chansey with Ditto, we decided to opt for some plays, but at this point, this game's just a foregone conclusion. Like, at any point, Mr. Titan T could literally just start switching his Pokemon because, we don't want to die to Toxic Poison, or you could just Seismic Toss because Galvantula has no recovery moves, and Galvantula will faint eventually. Game 1 going to Mr. Titan T over Waffles and Jelly. Let's see how Game 2 goes. We have it lead Lele this time, and Waffles and Jelly leads the Galvantula, presumably to click Sticky Webs. We use Hidden Power. I think that's Fire. Or Rock. It might be Rock. Hidden Power Rock is an okay tech here. We go into Terrakion. We are still locked in, and we trade a bit of chip damage on our Tapu Lele for an entire Galvantula lead, which is pretty good. Now we go into Rotom, and we sacrifice the Rotom to the Continental Crush to bring back in Lele and pick up the kill with Scarf Moonblast. Talonflame comes in comes Charizard on Talonflame to take non-existent damage from U-Turn. Garchomp's gonna come in. Will Mr. Titan T Mega Evolve this time? The answer is yes, and as a result, he survives Rock Slide, but it doesn't matter because he gets flinched, and now, for whatever reason, we decide to sacrifice our whole Pokemon that is a good defensive Pokemon to a Pokemon with Stab, Earthquake, and base 130 attack. So Lele is going to come in now to, out of frustration, click Moonblast, and then we are going to sacrifice Charizard to dual Wing Beat from Talonflame, as opposed to just going into Chansey like a normal person would. Now we are going to Psychic on the Ditto, because, I guess. And this Ditto, as Waffles and Jelly has shown us more than once, probably has not a Choice Scarf, which is the only real Ditto set. Anyway, Chansey's going to take 4% from that Ditto's Future Sight attack, and then after a Sword Stance, Earthquake crits the Chansey, killing the Chansey immediately, and we are just going to lose, presumably now, to this. Oh, but we're Scarf, and Waffles and Jelly decides to Mega Evolve and still be slower. I'm surprised that neither player has noticed that the Lele was Scarfed at this point, and in comes Talonflame to use Dual Wing Beat, as Mr. Titan T literally does not know how to deal with the Pokemon Talonflame. We opt for Moonblast because that is the only play that actually has a chance of doing anything here, and we still lose anyway. And now we have the third game. The third game, the game of the third. We lead Lele versus Galvantula again. This time we click Psychic because we are in Psychic terrain and it does more damage. We are countered by Thunder, which paralyzes us, and now we lose, probably. And at this point, we decide to go into Iron Treads, which is probably what we should have done in the first place. But instead, we decided to opt for an attack, but luckily for us, our speed is boosted, we get up rocks, and we get off a Rock Slide kill on the Talonflame, and we get to also Ice Spinner the Sceptile. Things are already looking disastrously bad for Waffles and Jelly, and we are faster than this, but we do not seem to be packing Earthquake, but we are going to trade a couple of Ice Spinners, and due to the fact that this Ditto is leftovers, this is not a speed type. The Treads is literally just faster. And as a result of the Treads being literally just faster, or at least it should be, but I guess it's not, because of Rapid Spin, now rocks are up on our side, but we are still getting off attacks with Iron Treads, and this shit is literally soloing Waffles and Jelly's entire team. Now we are going to spin off the rocks, as Jelly goes into the only Pokemon that should have come in against this thing in the first place. We've seen all of this thing's moves, and we know that Iron Treads is completely walled by this Terrakion, so why didn't we go into Terrakion before this? I don't know, but at this point it is far too late, the damage is done, and Sceptile ends the game, meaning the winner is Mr. Titan T. Next we have Ibe versus John Gold being the replacement for My Fate. Let's see how this goes. If I remember correctly, John Gold has a tendency to give up games way too early, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. Alright, so Clodsire is going to get off a Toxic on this Gastrodon, and rocks are up on our side. Ibe does not have a Defogger as far as I'm aware, unless the Moltres is packing Defog, but Ibe usually does not pack Defog on said Moltres. So after these hazards go up, John Gold does some switching around. This is a Boots Gastrodon, which is unusual to say the least. And then I think this was... Oh, no, it's not. Okay, so now we have Water Absorb on our Clodsire, as, you know, John Gold has to go into Skarmory. We are walled by Skarmory, so we now go into Moltres, which is going to be very, very obviously heavy-duty boots, as the Moltres is going to get off a Flamethrower into the incoming Keldeo. Now we need to go back into Clodsire because, you know, we can't get our Moltres deaded. And Clodsire is going to take 1,000,000 damage from Icy Wind, but the second one doesn't kill on a very, very low roll, which lets us recover. And guess what? Since we are out healing it, provided no crits ever, Clodsire is going to get to heal fully. Now we go into Mew and click Stored Power to do 20%, or not 20%, base 20 damage, and then we use Toxic Poison on the Mew. And since we are playing Crit Me Not Mew, which is Cosmic Power, Stored Power, probably a coverage move, and what should be Rest, the fact that we are Toxic Poisoned is pretty bad. We're going to Body Press the Samurott, picking up the kill, and if we have Rest, we need to use it now. If we are not running Rest, then we are looking pretty rough. But even if it did have Rest, Scizor is going to come in, pick up the kill with Bullet Punch, U-turn on the Bisharp to get out of there. In comes Moltres, walling Bisharp. Bisharp goes for a Substitute. We're going to just click Flamethrower on that because we do not want to let this thing set up at all. And now we have Substitute. We get the knockoff on the Moltres, getting rid of those boots. Enamorus is going to come in now. We have Tailwind to boost our speed. Now, me personally, I would never run Tailwind. In singles, like, the payoff for Tailwind in singles is just so low that, like, it's just really not worth doing. At least that's my opinion on it. So we Enamorous Tailwind to boost our speed, and then we let Iap have momentum again. As Skarmory is also a setup set. It seems like John Gold really likes to click the setup attacks, meaning, you know, Iron Defense or, you know, boost our stats. As we have, you know, Crit Me Not Mew, Substitute, definitely Sword Stance Bisharp, and now Iron Defense Body Press on the Skarmory. And all of these strategies lose to one move. So, yeah. And it looks like Iap's just never gonna let John Gold get to that setup. So Gastro's gonna come back in, take some damage from Dazzling Gleam, it dies to another one, and there are no more switch-ins to electric attacks. There are no more switch-ins. Enamorous comes in and is Scarf Enamorous because it is just faster than the Tapu Koko. So now not only are you Scarf Enamorous, you're also using Tailwind because speed is the only stat that matters, assumedly. And yeah, Tapu Koko is going to pick up some kills. Thunderbolt would have finished the game. I don't know why we opted for Volt Switch there, but John Gold is going to forfeit the game. Alright, next game. Live Wo-Chien reaction! So Coco lead versus Gastrodon. This is really bad for Iap, but Iap does pack the U-turn. In comes Samurott to use Cecil's Edge. And there is Cecil's Edge doing a solid chip to Enamorous. Moltres is going to come in on that now. Take not very effective damage from the Moonblast. Keldeo is going to take Spike's damage. Moltres is going to U-turn out of there, get back in Coco. Gastrodon's going to come back in. Coco is going to Volt Switch. I mean, I feel like that was a pretty obvious Gastrodon. You wanted to click U-turn there, but it's okay. We still have a Samurott in the back. Samurott's going to get Toxic Poison for our troubles now, though. Skarmory's going to come in as we go for knockoff, getting rid of Skarmory's Rocky Helmet. Okay. This is not bad. Razor Shell, what are we trying to get? A defense drop? Well, we did. And now Iron Defense is used. Doesn't Razor Shell have a high crit ratio? I'm not sure, but we don't really care about John Gold setting up, it looks like, because we're going to get up all of our layers. Skarmory is most certainly not on defog, meaning all of these layers are permanent layers, and we are going to continue using Volt Switch into Gastrodon. Now we have to U-turn to get out of there. Clodsire is coming back in on the Gastrodon as Gastrodon heals us up with Scald, thanks to the power of Water Absorb. Now Mew comes back in, takes some chip damage from Spikes. Toxic Poison is going to happen, and guess what? It's the exact same situation as last game, where you're on a Crit Me Not Mew that does not run, rest to get rid of your Toxic Poison. So we're going to just lose Mew here. And John doesn't seem like switching. He does not seem like he's interested in switching. So he is going to have to face the consequences of not switching and lose the Mew. Oh, live Wo-Chien reaction! Live Wo-Chien reaction! Alright, we have an Iron Head here. Alright, another Iron Head? No, we have U-turn. U-turn picks up the kill on Wo-Chien for being ×4 super effective. And John Gold forfeits, realizing that there is no Pokemon that beats Clodsire. Apparently, that is what he said. That being said, yes, there are no Pokemon on your team that beat Clodsire because you just did not prepare properly, which is what it is. That being said, forfeiting when the game is still 5-5 is a little bit cringe, I'm gonna be honest. But hey, you know what? You do you. Next game, we have Zera versus Faye Tyracle. Faye Tyracle, new member of the league, doing pretty well. I showed you guys the standings. He's doing pretty well. I think he's in like top 5 or 6 or maybe even 7. But he is currently in the playoff running. Zera also doing quite well, if I remember correctly. And we have Paralyze, Chilly Reception, Gallade, and Gallade is presumably going to Swords Dance and Mega Evolve. Oh baby, Thunder Punch. We don't even Swords Dance. We're just going to Thunder Punch for big damage on the Gyarados. And that Gyarados survives the Thunder Punch from Mega Gallade, which tells me that that Gyarados is probably physically defensive. But we're going to try and intimidate it, and that doesn't work because Mega Gallade has Inner Focus, which does not actually, you know, help us in the situation where, you know, we are dealing with a Pokemon that is immune to Intimidate, right? So we lose Gyarados. Goodra's going to come back in now. Goodra is weak to Close Combat. Close Combat is going to kill the Goodra. And I'm going to be real, I think this is looking more and more over every time this Gallade comes back in. Alright, Togekiss is going to come in with an eject button, get the eject button knocked off, so we are going to instant switch into Moth. Mega Manectric is going to become Mega Manectric. We're going to use Sludge Wave to do absolutely massive damage. And Faye goes for Light Screen, which is strange. But now Arcanine comes in and is not walled by Moth, but it wasn't walled by Moth anyway. Now we're going to opt for a Flare Blitz as we are Scarf Arcanine, and we just die to a Close Combat. Sylveon has to be the click here, but like we have nothing at this point that beats the Slowking, and the Slowking comes back in immediately, and unless we get like a para, this game's over. Sludge Wave crit for good measure. It didn't need to crit, but it's still pretty good here. And there is Scizor. Scizor having a bug type attack is going to basically be back-breaking for Faye. Bullet Punch is also completely acceptable. Protean knockoff does not do nearly enough. We knock off the Occaberry. Bullet Punch kills. And Sylveon is also going to perish to Bullet Punch, meaning Game 1 goes to Zera in a pretty solid win. Immediately into Game 2 we go. Iron Hands is the send in. We have Technician Sandstorm, which is a spicy tech, as Iron Hands opts for Heavy Slam. Me, personally, I would not have used Heavy Slam. I would have probably used a setup move, you know, trying to get ready to kill this Scizor. But instead, it does not look like we are running things like Bulk Up. I don't know if Iron Hands gets Bulk Up, but if it did, I would be clicking that. Anyway, we're trapped by Sandstorm, and now this Scizor is going to get a free kill on our Iron Hands, essentially. Arcanine comes in immediately, and Zera is running Protect in singles, which is both bad and good. Protect is good when used well, but if you guys remember Season 2, last season, where I was like yelling at people to just stop clicking Protect for no reason, yeah, if you remember that, good for paying attention. However, in this case, Protect is a fantastic click when you know your opponent is more than likely on a choice item, and you aren't quite sure what Pokemon you want to go into, because you could be sacrificing a whole Pokemon, right? So, Protect is good when used properly. You can't just click Protect for no reason. For example, if your Pokemon is Toxic Poisoned and your leftovers have been knocked off, clicking Protect literally just loses you a turn. And HP. So why would you click Protect? This has been Cupid's TED Talk about the usage of the move Protect in singles. Please pay attention. Alright, anyway, back to where we were. We still haven't had much progress going on here, but Gallade is going to be reduced, and after a close combat into the Gyarados, Thunder Punch picks up the kill now. We did see that Thunder Punch last game did about 81%, if I remember correctly. So that is worthwhile to note. Anyway, the rain's going to stop now. Arcanine's going to head smash into the Gallade. Gallade's going to close combat, killing the Arcanine, because we knew that that Arcanine was Scarf from the last game. Now we have Meowscarada using Electric Protean Thunder Punch. We get the crit, which is very nice. Now we go into Sylveon, which is paralyzed, and absolutely dies to Scizor. But now we are going to switch back into Meowscarada as Xurkitree comes in. We are going to use Flower Trick, and that crit does not quite kill. However, due to the fact that we ditched our Ghost typing, we do pick up the kill on Xurkitree, and now we are going to keep switching Pokemon over and over again for some inexplicable reason. We have a full HP Steel Dragon Goodra, which walls Xurkitree, but I guess we just decided that it wasn't worth going into. And now, instead, we have Gudra diet to Gallade, and, you know, Scarada's gonna come in, use Thunder Punch. Would I have clicked Thunder Punch there? Maybe, I don't know. There's no good clicks at this point. We are just losing to the Iron Moth in the back, and there it is. And Zera picks up a 2-0 win over Faye. Next into the matches, we have Spirit versus Bento. Bento was talking in Twitch chat. He was like, I am so nervous for this match, and I was just like, Bento, just play the game. It's not even that big of a deal. So here we are watching that match. This match is... I don't know. Alright, so we're gonna attempt to Earthquake on the Goldango, as we do not beat this thing one-on-one, thanks to the fact that it does, in fact, have Recover, and we took a turn to set up rocks, as opposed to going for the kill. In comes Low Kicks to click First Impression, more than likely. But it should be using Knockoff, yeah, and it does, and we get the leftovers off the Dondozo, which is very, very nice. Now, for some reason, we go into Florges. I guess we're scared of Earthquake Dondozo. But that just brings back in the Goldango, and now we have to go into Low Kicks, and Low Kicks is going to die to make it rain. Now that Low Kicks is gone and our wish was wasted, we've spent 2 turns doing nothing. So we go into Jolteon, which is properly named Please Do Stuff, because we successfully failed to do anything for the past 2 turns. And now we are going to use Toxic Poison on the Tinglu, because Jolteon is using Toxic Poison. Which is pretty interesting. It's not bad. But now Tinglu is just going to get up a million layers of spikes. And yeah. How do I feel about this? I don't like it. I don't like it. It feels bad, man, for Bento in this situation. I am going to opt mid-video recording, because I do not wish to start the recap recording over, to use some throat spray here. So I am sorry, but I am kind of not feeling entirely the best right now, so you guys are going to have to deal with this. Oh yeah, that's that painful stuff. Okay, now we are back. We have Gunk on me because Bento is a sussy baka and names his Pokemon after strange things. And now we miss a Gunk shot because Bento is not very good at aiming. So after Mandibuzz uses Defog, we bring in Goldango, and Bento is completely walled by Goldango, which is not something that you want to do when your opponent has Goldango in their draft. Now we bring in Jolteon to presumably click an attack or something. And we've already gotten Toxic Poisoning off on this thing, but we are going to take more damage from our Life Orb than we actually deal to it. Right, so now Florges comes back in. Bento's gonna probably try and click what wish, because he doesn't seem to understand the severity of the situation he's in. And you guys need to understand when you are in completely losing situations, like, hey, stop clicking wish every single turn. Stop clicking wish every turn. A lot of people in this league click wish whenever they have wish on the field, which is not what you want to do. You need to get out of the situation you're in. Look, that wish turn you just spent, where you healed your Pelipper for 0, and the earlier wish turn, where you healed your other Pokemon for nothing because it died. Those were 2 turns, which Spirit is now using to, beat you with Goldango. But luckily for Bento, he's carried and gets an Ice Beam Freeze on the Goldango, and he basically never needs this thing to never thaw out. Tragically for Bento, that's not what happens. And we have a Make It Rain, which kills the Florges. And now, as follow-up, we have an incoming Sneasler, which we've already seen doesn't have an attack that hurts this thing, based on the fact that it switched out earlier. So Bento's entire team loses to Goldango at this point, and I think, yeah, Bento is just going to forfeit, as I literally mentioned, there are no Pokemon that beat this left. Pelipper is at 52%, Jolteon is at kill range, and this thing is at 15, and will basically die to a spike. It doesn't actually die to a spike, but it basically dies to a spike. Next, we have Game 2. Same lead from Spirit, I think it was. Mega Evolve, click Fake Out. This time the Sneasler is going to get flinched, and we are going to bulk up on the switch. And has Bento learned from his lesson? Yeah, he has. He has now put Night Slash on the Sneasler, and after only a bulk up, it's not enough damage to kill, and we are going to die to the Goldango. In comes Low Kicks to scare out the Goldango. We successfully do so. We get to Volt Switch into Jolteon, and now Tinglu is going to come in, and Bento should have predicted this, and he does. He goes for Toxic. Absolutely fantastic play so far, despite the fact that we have lost our whole Sneasler. That being said, thanks to the fact that we do not have a Sneasler, I am not sure how we are going to get through a lot of these Pokemon that are here. But hey, maybe Bento will find a way. Now we bring in Aggron. Dondozo's going to come in. We really need to have Jolteon come in on this immediately. But instead, Bento is going to opt to switch into Pelipper as Dondozo goes for Curse. Yikes. And now we switch into Jolteon. Why did we go into Pelipper first? And now we are still clicking Shadow Ball on the Tinglu. I don't know why Bento is opting to click Shadow Ball on Tinglu. If you know that Tinglu is coming, why are you going for 7% instead of switching into a Pokemon that threatens out the Tinglu? These are questions that I would like to know. Low Kicks comes in, and this actually does force Aaron into a bad spot, but we are not on Assault Vest, or not Assault Vest, we are not on a, a move that can switch and kill the Mandibuzz with the Low Kicks. We are not using U-Turn, so instead we are going to switch, bring in Ice Beam, the Pelipper, and now we go into Jolteon. And let's be honest, he knows that this Jolteon's Shadow Ball, but we all know, like, as viewers, we know that that Jolteon does not kill this Screamtail. Like, it's not even close to killing the Screamtail with Shadow Ball. So, yeah, we're not going to be in a good spot there. And now we go into Low Kicks in front of Make It Rain, losing our Low Kicks, and essentially the battle on the spot, as none of our Pokemon that are left kill this Goldango. Tinglu's gonna come in. Live Tinglu reaction again. And we're gonna switch around, but it's pretty futile at this point. Another Ruination is used. Shrug. Goldango comes back in. Bento's still clicking Wish, even to this day. We're gonna go into Mega Aggron, as Goldango uses Nasty Plot and probably kills us in 1 or 2 Shadow Balls at this point, but we're going to switch out in case the Aggron packs Earthquake. Smart play by Spirit. Alright, now we go for Rocks, and yeah, this is over. This is over. This is it. It got off a curse. None of Bento's Pokemon, like, win here. And Bento, for whatever reason, decides to, instead of using an electric attack, which was his only chance of winning, to switch into Pelipper. But luckily, Spirit also threw, and goes into Tinglu, which lets this thing use Hurricane. But luckily for Spirit, this Pelipper does not crit confuse him like it would have done to me. So, as a result, the throw is pretty mitigated by just average luck, I would say. Now Pelipper is going to get off a bunch of other attacks. Now we get Toxic Poisoned. Ice Beam is going to pick up the kill on Mandibuzz. Bento does not get 6-0'd. Very good. Congratulations, Bento. In comes Goldango, though. What are you going to do about this? Probably nothing. Goldango is going to recover all the way up to full and be immune to poisoning from Toxic. Dondozo's going to come back in, Jolteon's at 8%, and honestly, you don't even need to go Tinglu here. You can sack the Dondozo, but to prove a point, we go Tinglu and say, haha, I know that you're forced to click an electric-type move at this point, because this battle is so over. And Bento was, in fact, forced to click an electric move in that turn. But luckily for us, we are on Boots Pelipper, which comes back in, picks up a kill with Hydro Pump, and Goldango is just going to win the battle now. I guess Spirit has decided that, yeah, you know what, maybe this was fun. It was fun while it lasted, but you know what, just Goldango. Let's finish this game up, yeah? Move on with our lives. So Goldango is going to Shadow Ball, and then Earthquake doesn't do enough to kill, and then we get another Shadow Ball, and finally end the game, which we could have done about 10 turns ago. But it is what it is. Bento is defeated, Spirit wins 2-0, and we've got 2 matches left to cover. These matches are Antkiller versus Ryevji. Ryevji leads that dog, and Antkiller leads Poison, Gunk Shot, Liberace, Cinderos. Liberace Cinderos. Yeah, you can quote me on that one. Libero Cinderace. Libero Cinderace. Yeah. Liberace Cindero. That is what I'm calling Cinderace from now on. That is its official name now. And Ryevji has no good Pokemon of dealing. Now that the Entei's out of the way, there are no Pokemon on Ryevji's team that have a good way of dealing with this Ferrothorn. We go into Sharpedo to use Ice Fang, which does get a flinch, which is very, very lucky stuff. And now we go for Earthquake, which we should have clicked in the first turn, to be honest. And Cinderace is going to come back in, die to Aqua Jet. Hold on, Ryevji is fighting. But Naruto Shippuden, spelled incorrectly by the way, comes in. We use Gunk Shot on the Primarina because Antkiller has decided that it is time to use Gunk Shot in literally every recap. Because I guess he is assuming that I am going to always do the funny little click thing to make all of the videos show up. Not the videos, the image that I used to show in week 1. That being said, it's kind of hard to do that when we are so far off schedule that I just need to, you know, pump shit out and get everything caught up. And it's kind of hard when the matches are late, too. You would argue that I have more time to do it, but, like, when the matches are late, I have to, you know, basically keep my finger on the button as far as, like, oh, yes, the matches, I gotta pay attention to when those are done. And then it's like, okay, well, the matches were a week late. Now I've got to record 2 recaps. What do I do? And I just don't have time for all of that, right? So make sure you guys are getting your matches done on time. If you are still watching at this point, you guys are probably clicking through the video just to find your own video, or not your video, your match being recapped. You guys really gotta get your matches done. I really hope that you see this. Anyway, Hatterene's in. We're gonna bust the Mimikyu's disguise. And in the back, we have the Ice Horse, as Mimikyu goes for Dark Pulse, which is an absolutely atrocious click here. Not only is Ghost Stab, it's also super effective, and it's also, Dark Pulse is a special attack. And why would you click a physical attack when Mimikyu has actually decent physical attack stats? You know, why would you do that? Anyway, as a result, Ant walks away with a pretty free win. In Game 1. Game 2, Tauros lead versus Cinderace. Tauros could be Scarf with Body Slam, which is technically scary, I guess. But it's okay, because we have an entire Ferrothorn to get up Stealth Rocks, and presumably Leech Seeds, as Ryevji does not desire to switch into a Pokemon that can actually deal with Ferrothorn. Now that the Leech Seeds are up and we've taken extra damage on our Tauros, we've decided to go into Tyranitar, which does not pack a Fire move, and as such does not kill the Ferrothorn. Now we go into Entei, after losing our entire Tyranitar to click Sacred Fire. Why did we lose our entire Tyranitar for free? Who knows? Not me. I don't know why. Anyway, Hydro Pump, Protean, Greninja. It is not Battle Bond this time. And we have Gunk Shot, which is not stab, but it's still super effective on Primarina, and picks up the kill. Now we have a Z move coming out. We use Sub-Zero Slammer, which kills Tauros. I don't think we needed to use a Z move to kill the Tauros, but maybe we did. Who knows? Now we have a Dark Pulse to break the disguise and opt to try and get a flinch. We do not get the flinch as Mimikyu goes for Will-O-Wisp, which is probably not the best click against mixed Greninja. I think you would probably opt for, like, Play Rough or something. You know, something to just hit this thing. Because it's just letting off massive attacks over and over every single turn, and we're just sort of not dealing with it. Now we go into Sharpedo, we use Earthquake into Aqua Jet, and we pick up the kill, but it is too late at this point. The horse comes in, it is going to click Close Combat, and, well, Entei is going to pick up the kill here on the horse. So Ant opts to go into Porygon 2, we go for Sacred Fire, it does solid damage, we don't get the burn, we go for Sacred Fire, and we miss with a 5% chance to miss, and then we are going to die to a couple of Thunderbolts as a result. That being said, even if this does pick up the kill, I think we are banded Entei for sure here, and we run out of PP before we kill the rest of Antkiller's Pokemon, so this was just a lost game for Ryuji. So Antkiller does get the win here. I do not think that the miss on Sacred Fire mattered all that much. And yeah. So now we have our final match, and the match that kind of held up the recap for as long as it did. Now, I could have theoretically recorded the recap on the 2nd, which was the day that this battle happened, but I have other things I have to do with my life. I am a grown man, and I have to handle things. So, you know, here we are recording on a significantly later date. Anyway, we have Plasma versus Juvenile. We have the Venusaur lead versus the Excadrill. Excadrill uses Aerial Ace, which is very strange, and it takes nothing from Earth Power. And for whatever reason, after Aerial Acing turn 1, and with no hazards or Leech Seeds up, we decide to opt for Rapid Spin to boost our speed. And after that doesn't work, we decide to go into Victini to click a Psychic-type move that is Stab, super effective. But instead we go for V-Create if the what's it called? The Venusaur had just stayed in, it would have probably killed us. But Juvenile doesn't seem to care that much. Now Kiroom comes in, that brings in Torch Song User. Hydreigon's going to come in on Torch Song User to force that out. We are going to use Dark Pulse to do solid chip to the Venusaur. We're going to use Dark Pulse again, praying for a flinch. We do not get it. We're going to use Dark Pulse again, at this point not thinking. We are going to get Leech Seeded, and Zeraora has to come in now, and this thing has no moves that beat Venusaur. So Juvenile goes for the Juvenile Special, uses Thunder Wave for no reason on a Pokemon that is literally twice as fast as the Pokemon as it is in front of. And this accomplishes a total of absolutely fucking nothing. Now, Lapras is gonna come in, as we are praying for Paralyze RNG, as, you know, Lapras gets up two Dragon Dances, misses Zen Headbutt, as the Venusaur finally gets paralyzed, and dies to Leech Seed damage. Good job, Juvenile. Nice Thunder Wave. Anyway, in comes Sorrowful Hymn to slack off all of the damage, and now we have some Paraflinch action going on between Dark Pulse and Thunder Wave. So, maybe here we can actually have a 45% chance to get through, and we do seem to get through. We get very, very lucky. We get two 45%ers in a row, and we even pick up a crit on the Hoopa Unbound, and we pick up a flinch on the Hoopa Unbound, and Juvenile is so fucking carried this game. And surely we don't also get a flinch on the Swampert, right? Well, it didn't matter, because Swampert has no moves that kill this, and now we bring in the Landorus finally. Now we're going to sacrifice Excadrill to Earthquake, I guess, but U-turn was the obvious click there. And in comes the silly Kartana that Plasma likes to use that boosts its speed when it picks up a KO. And since Juvenile has nothing properly to deal with this, Juvenile's entire team dies to this thing, despite the fact that Victini more than likely walls it. And upon seeing the entire moveset, why didn't you just go into Victini in the first place? Well, too late now. We're going to have to survive an all-out pummeling, and at times to attack, we just don't. So it didn't matter, because we died anyway, and we just took too much chip damage on our Victini. And now Zeraora is going to get a fake-out chip off to, I guess, have a moral victory? Who knows? Game 2. Game 2. We will see Game 2. Alright, so this time Juvenile leads Hydreigon into the Landorus. We go for Dark Pulse, and we pick up the turn 1 flinch, because why wouldn't we? You know, it's if you just make up for the lack of skill with luck, it doesn't matter. But it's okay, because now we're going to put in an Excadrill in front of a Pokemon that's weak to fighting. Or, yeah, we're going to put a Pokemon... We're going to switch from Fighting Weak to Fighting Weak in front of a Hoopa Unbound. And Hoopa Unbound is going to Drain Punch us for our entire life savings, losing the entire Excadrill. Now we are going to Signal Beam, presumably trying to pick up the kill on Hoopa, but we just don't, because Hoopa has decent special defense. And now Zeraora is going to come in to apply a knockoff to whatever comes in on the switch. And after the first knockoff does 26, Juvenile does not realize that knockoff does less damage when the Pokemon's not holding an item, and we go for Thunder Wave on Venusaur yet again. Now, this time the Venusaur is going to get paralyzed twice, because Juvenile is going to see this, and he's going to think, wow, I am being rewarded for my skill, when in reality Plasma should just probably switch Pokemon. And Lapras is going to get up 2 Dragon Dances and use Zen Headbutt on a Pokemon that is immune to Zen Headbutt, and die between Poison and Leaf Seeds. Now we're going to switch into the Landorus, and we are going to sacrifice Landorus, even though we went for Freeze Dry, which is a special attack and would not have even come close to killing the Hoopa. Because, you know, why would we use a physical attack when we are boosting our physical attack and our speed? Why would we do that? That doesn't make any sense. And now, yeah, we have some more switching around. Victini's going to get off a Zen Headbutt, and then it's going to get off another Zen Headbutt, and we are not going to flinch on the Torch Song user, as in comes Hydreigon on the Hoopa. And this does luckily kill for us. It is a damage range there that kills, but, you know, luckily for us it does. We are going to get in Victini for free as Venusaur is paralyzed. We're going to pick up a kill. Now we are going to go back into Hydreigon on flip turn, and Plasma has no mons that really beat this. But for whatever reason, instead of opting to use a move that kills this thing immediately, we go into Zeraora to click knockoff, and let this thing heal up with Slack Off, and now we're going to miss the Thunder Wave and let this thing heal to full, because Juvenile's fixation with Thunder Wave still has not been satiated. And now we lose Zeraora for free, giving us a chance to die to the Kartana. But it's okay because we get a Paralyze between, you know, Paralyze and Dark Pulse. And we do pick up a kill on the ridiculous Torch Song user. Now, Juvenile switches out the Pokemon because we do not want it to die to Kartana and let it start boosting its speed. But if it had gone for Swords Dance there, I don't think it mattered. But luckily for us, this time, the health on our Victini is so high that surely even Juvenile can't fuck this up, right? Well, we opt for Focus Blast to pick up the kill, even though Freeze Dry probably killed too. And we just never miss Focus Blast because we're never punished. And Plasma is successfully brought to Game 3 by Juvenile. Alright, well, let's see how Game 3 goes. I'm sure that Plasma is going to mess around significantly less after actually dropping a game to Juvenile, and we'll just simply not get his hacks, right? Well, turn 1 missing Leech Seed is already off to a bad start. That being said, once the seeds go up on the Kirillum, Juvenile will get scared out by seeds, and then we're going to have a double switch. And then in comes Landorus on Zero Aura to wall Zero Aura until the year 2078. Now we have Dark Pulse as Clefable comes in. Now Clefable is on the team, by the way, and also Latios. Plasma did make a couple of changes between the games, it would seem. Now Rapid Spin from the Excadrill is being used to boost the speed. Now you use a ×4 resisted X-Scissor because we don't know our type charts, and that's fine, I guess. Now we're going to use Earthquake on a Pokemon that is immune to Earthquake, as Lapras is going to come in and take nearly half from Landorus's Earthquake of its own. Now we're going to use Dragon Dance on presumably what's unaware Clef, and we use Protect with Dragon Dance because we are absolutely a dog shit set. And now we Freeze Dry, and now we Zen Headbutt to do non-existent damage, and we are actually just losing one-on-one to a knockoff Moonblast Clefable. Now we're going to Dragon Dance again, as Clefable goes for Wish, just to click to waste a turn, and now we're going to get Zen Headbutt off, and Juvenile is clicking Protect again. And you remember how earlier in this video, in this exact video, I said stop clicking Protect for no reason? You see the difference between good Protect and useless Protect? You remember when I said that? There's your example. Anyway, this game is essentially all but over, as Juvenile has actually no Pokemon that are able to break through the Hoopa. Or at least, maybe not the Hoopa, but like the Hoopa in combination with another thing. The other thing being the Venusaur. Like, what do you have at that point? Victini, I guess? And even then, Victini doesn't even do all that well. Like, V-Create into Venusaur doesn't feel good. Yeah, you just don't want that. You know, this is not what you're looking for. This is not what you are desiring in this exact moment. We lose Hydreigon. We're now going to Freeze Dry the Clefable. Guess what? Clefable is not... Oh, it gets frozen. Okay, well, Clefable is now essentially a dead Pokemon because Juvenile is getting carried by every secondary effect that could possibly happen. But now there is Freeze Claws in Pokemon, meaning that this Skeledirge cannot get frozen ever anyway. Now we go for yet another Thunder Wave because Juvenile knows that his only way to win is through luck. And, well, guess what? Landorus says, fuck ya luck, suck a duck. Now we have Rapid Spin as Excadrill dies to Earthquake. Victini is going to come in, and we just go back into Skeledirge to absorb V-Create like it were, what is something that is easily absorbed? Water by paper towels and sponges. There we go. And now we have some Venusaur on Zero Aura action, and at this point it's just too late. The Venusaur is going to do everything it needs to do to win the game. This is a Synthesis on a switch. Yep, and we do get it off, and Freeze Dry does non-existent damage. And even with the Para, well, we can just always Synthesis up after a Leech Seed and heal back to full. But we do get the Para on the switch. Victini is going to now use Zen Headbutt, and now Latios comes in. And this is going to seal it, essentially. We go for Psychic. Not entirely sure why we opted for Psychic there. We're probably Scarfed or something. No, we switch out. Interesting. Not entirely sure why we do that, but it really doesn't matter. Juvenile at this point is, like, getting 6-0'd. We get up rocks, and all we have to do is keep Landorus alive, and guess what Knockoff does? That exact thing. In comes the Latias. Kyurem's going to take this rocks damage, and I think the Latias is Scarf. We hit the Draco, and Juvenile gets 6-0'd, because relying on luck is not a good strategy. So, yeah, that concludes all of the matches. Let's go back once again and show you guys the standings. These are the standings after the matches we just watched. So yes, these are all accurate. Congratulations on First place Spirit, second place Ant, third place Plasma, Ruse is in fourth, Bento fifth, Kitsune sixth, Faye Tyracle is in seventh, and Ibe is in eighth. And for those of you who are just outside of top 8 or even a little bit further down, we're only about a third of the way into the season. So, unless I decide to shorten the season, which may or may not have to happen based on the level of activity lately, you know, you have plenty of time to get yourselves back into this one. And I hope you all enjoyed the Week 5 recap of the CUPID Pokemon Draft League. I will see you all in the next video. Later.